We're discussing Chris Prochaska's point of view on engaging with children and listening to them. I brought up the conversation of will this work in our community, as well as she asked the question, are your children your equal? So, ladies, your feedback.
It was a strong thing when I was listening to her. I had to listen to her a couple of times. And I really think I went to a point with my own experience of having I had to be open minded because it can be scary. I think she said that too, right? That she was kind of scared for a minute.
Mm, I did. She did express feelings of fear, but I think the fear came from the preconditioning. That was what I took from it. The preconditioning of what I know I am guilty of falling into. Do it because I said so. I've done that, So it did really hit close to home as far as the way you have dialogue or the way that I had dialogue with my children. I can say that I have been guilty of saying to of telling them to do something because I told them to do something instead of taking the time to rationalize.
I don't think we always have the time to discuss why.
Right, exactly, because you need the results to happen immediately. You're trying to get from point A to point B without all of the middle part and not taking in consideration their input.
Right,
because you're the
parent,
because you're the parent and they're the child. And
Right.
I have been open-minded enough to say, I understand that, and not because I always call children little people, and they do, to me, they're little people, and they have a voice, and I've always felt that way. I don't necessarily know that because of the way that I was raised, the way that I was conditioned, if I always set the situation up for them to be able to be, like she said, be invested and having a stake in a conversation. So I know I'm guilty of some of the practices that she mentioned.
She also said, for me, they're not adults. She said, are they your equal in value? Yes, that. Right. Of course, the child is 100% human, has feelings, right. Should be taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
What I've experienced is when I give them that opportunity, when I do answer questions, you expect an answer every time now. You have a question about everything. And like I said, for me,
question everything.
Right. Exactly. A lot of the times for me, it's just the timing. Don't ask me now. I said sit down, and I need you to do it now. And
then they give
another thing
the load.
For mothers, I think we experience you're always going to go through that battle of control and power with your child, and it's more embarrassing in a crowd or with your elders around you, and for that child to start questioning you in front of people that know you ain't, that were raised and you don't question,
differently.
Yeah, so it's like, not now.
But my thing is, though, if they are questioning with respect, you know what I mean? Like, kids know, they know how they pose questions. I think, like, if a child is asking you legitimately because they're inquisitive and they're not trying to be disrespectful, they're just curious, I don't have a problem with that kind of question. You know what I mean?
Right.
Old school generation, they just not gonna get it, period.
Right. The question is the disrespect.
Yeah, that's the problem. The fact that you allow the questioning to happen.
How dare you?
But right. But I feel like there's a way to question it. I always felt this way because I've had this discussion before about the perception of my dialogue with my children and how someone has taken it as feeling like it's talking back when I feel like it's dialogue. Now, there is a difference between us having a conversation from parent to child versus a child being disrespectful and not, and not understanding that, hey, you're not speaking to me properly. I think there's a total difference. But some people just feel like the fact that a child asks a question is disrespectful, and I don't agree with it.
If you all will
Right.
help me remember too, she did mention different ways to answer that question of why, not just because I said so, but you can say things like, because it worked for me, and I think you should try it this way, or different things she said. I've gotten to points where I didn't have an answer except because I said so. So when she gave those options, it was, oh, okay, I could try something else, but then, please don't question that.
Yeah, and I can hear, the perception of what her experience was. She probably, you ever hear that child that would always say, why?
Right. Yeah.
Such and such and such a thing. Why? Why? And and some of our households, like my son, he didn't ask questions. But there was my daughter that used the loaded question thing. The loaded question is what I had a thing with. Don't ask me a bunch of loaded questions. Give me a chance to let's have a conversation, and reason. Now, your first question, let me answer it. But sometimes the loaded question felt a little disrespectful,
Let me have y'all listen to this part for a minute.
Privileges that we do as adults, but that doesn't mean they don't have equal value. I wouldn't give my 10-year-old the car keys, but that doesn't mean he's not equal to me. Why don't we see our kids as equal? Here are a few reasons that I came up with, and I'm embarrassed to say that during my 10-year parenting career, I think I've said or thought just about all of them. I'm the adult, you're the child, I know better. Don't ask me right now, I'm too busy. Just do what I said, I don't have time to explain it. Why bother? Kids never listen anyway. That's how I was talked to. That's just how you talk to kids. Or, I don't think kids understand if you were to explain it. They're too young. I'm the adult, you're the child. You gotta listen to me. What are the potential long-term consequences of talking to our kids with this orientation? In my work.
Okay, so this is the part that I struggle with, because I still, even after hearing her, believe that they haven't gone through enough experience to start to tell me what they think should go down. You know what I mean? And maybe not maybe not in every situation, but there are times, like, just trust me because I said so. Then I fall back into that trap. But
I think too what it is though is not so much as hearing what they say and taking whatever they say to heart so much that you want to practice whatever, like they're going to have the solution, which may very well happen. I think it's just to give them the platform to be able to feel included in the conversation, like you didn't make a decision without their input, or you know what I mean, leaving them out, like all of these. Because I have to say, I felt as a child that when I was being raised, because I grew up in that generation where you did not question, you just did whatever, you didn't have a voice. You did not have a voice. And I grew up with a sense of, I'm not going to treat my children that way. I'm going to at least hear what they have to say and see where they're coming from and try to understand their perspective, whether or not it changes my mind about what I'm going to do anyway,
Right.
But it does give them some sense of
value.
Yeah, to be included. Like, okay, I listen to you. I understand where you're coming from. It's not changing anything, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
And that's communication.
Exactly.
That's communication.
Exactly.
Because
You're giving them that ability to be able to interact with people and to have that dialogue.
Now, one thing
outside of yourself.
she did say that I do agree with, though, with that overbearing, because I said so attitude, do it because, and never really giving the child a reason. The long-term effect of that is you're going to have an adult that cannot make decisions for his or herself because they're so accustomed to mommy making that decision for them. And so they hesitate. I don't know. You also grew up with that idea of your your ideas don't matter. Like you were just saying, give them that voice. But if they never get the voice, even as adults, they think their opinion doesn't matter, or they'll sacrifice themselves for others because they never mattered before.
Right, and that comes to what she mentioned about battle of control. You know, you can have children that didn't have that option, and then when they become adults, they're very controlling. You know, it starts before they even become adults, because you have some parents, and I'm speaking from experience, not with myself, but some parents that constantly, when I was younger, I had to do such and such, and when I was your age, I did such and such. Sometimes hearing a child say, but I wasn't her, I get tired of her comparing me to how she was when she was my age. I'm nothing like her. You have the sons that be like, I don't want to be nothing like my father. Because they don't agree. They have their own voice. They have their own thoughts. So that's
everyone is entitled to that. Everyone is entitled to have their own perception, expression. I mean, everyone is entitled, because everyone is different. So it does get to a point where you have to understand about, you know, whether or not you're stifling the individual because you're not willing to at least listen. Like, and I say again, you know, they are children and they do look to us for guidance, and that's fine. And sometimes, you know, a child might surprise you. They may give you a good idea that you might, you know what I'm saying? It's not impossible.
It definitely happens.
But you gotta have a conversation.
What you said about guidance, they do look for us for guidance. And I do feel a lot of us lose patience with the children, expecting them to know how to do something the first time, and not being able to ask questions. And
therefore, but everybody go through stages. You can see the stages as they begin to expand and grow. Because I do remember my son, you know, he's 34 now. He went through the stages to where he had to learn. But then as a parent, you know, in my understanding, it's good to pull up and give them the control, but be there. And sometimes you have to have the intention, playing the professional parent, and then also being the responsible, sensible child yourself. That way they feel like they're part of what's going on. Now, for my son, I remember, you know, me being a first-time mother, it seemed like he was always testing everything, always questioning everything. And it came down to an understanding from Father that, you know, what he's going to do is he's always going to try to figure out how to do it his way, no matter how we want him to do it or give him that understanding that it needs to be done this way. He's always going to try to see his own way.
A lot of people learn through their own experience too.
I feel like you have to. Okay, so we all learn differently. We all learn differently.
Yeah.
And so you can guide by saying this. If you do this and this and this will work. You know, but what's to say that their perception and how they do it won't work? You know, I think finding your own way is the way, you know, and we sometimes we get caught up in that. Yeah, we want to tell the children, do it this way because this works and this is how we do it. But sometimes we have to give just a little bit of leeway for them to figure it out for themselves, because every way, your way may not be my way.
And you know,
needs to be a little respect in that.
You could talk all you want. Your child needs to see you doing what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's when they'll really copy you. So yeah, it is one thing to say it, but you gotta lead by example, and the child does copy you. Like she said in that video, those children think we're liars because we'll say you can't do this.
Yeah, they think that. Let me tell you why. I can agree with her so much on that, because they think we're liars, and sometimes we can't trust their tongue if it's paint stamped and notarized. What happens is that they go outside the home with their mate, with their classmates or their friends, and they learn from their friends what their parent is doing. And sometimes the other friends say, you know, this, and I've heard a child tell another child, well, this is how you're going to have to get your mother to do such and such. And he's schooling him how to control his mother.
Manipulate, huh?
Yeah. Exactly. And they're like, oh, okay, so now just when you hear, well, Brian's mom, she doesn't make him do that. So this is how you need to do this in your household.
wish they
I'm looking
would.
Oh,
like,
that's really funny. I'm just sorry. That's just really funny because
So
that can't work. That can't work here, but I get it.
Amen. Amen on that.
would you say
Okay,
that
try that
parenting
strategy would get you nowhere. I'm just saying.
At all.
is
can
parenting
try
a
it.
role or a relationship?
Is it what?
A role or a relationship?
Both. It's both.
That was my answer too.
You. Of course, it's a relationship. There's no parent that who has children don't want a relationship with their children. You know what I mean?
Any
Yeah.
vibe with a person is a relationship either way. You know, any
Right. You want a
being
good
with
relationship
somebody,
with your
right,
children.
right.
But
Yeah,
you
but
also
you know-
have a responsibility to be a role model
Yeah.
for your child as an adult, as that child's parent. That's part of parenthood,
Look,
whether you like it or not. It's a
and
role.
you
There's a lot
and
of
you
parents
remember
that
when she was saying that, oh, I don't have time. I gotta be in the office. I gotta be, you know, I don't have time for this, and I'm too tired. Or the father that's always flying, I don't have time. You handle it. That's when they don't have that communication. They're not allowing that relationship to build with their child. I've seen some children that have grown up and they've graduated to a certain level, and the parent missed out on it. And I'm not that hard-headed kid anymore. So, but since you don't know nothing about that, I'm just gonna be who I want to be, you know. And that's when the door gets closed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes it takes some mindfulness, because it's very easy, because of life, to get caught up in all of the day-to-day things and to just go through the motions of, okay, I have children, I gotta feed them, so I'm gonna cook dinner, I'm gonna put them to bed, I'm gonna do homework, and you do all of those things. But investing in the relationship is a totally different thing, because you can do all of those things because that's the role
And
of the
still
parent.
miss out, yeah.
But you still have to talk to them and get to know who that child is as a person.
I find
Absolutely.
that letting the house get messy just to like chill out and make cupcakes together, but like see how they really are, is where you really
Yeah.
parent and build a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
it's easy to get on that.
And I had a thing with my daughter. I always wanted to. I did this thing with her, and I used to be like, okay, what good happened today? What bad happened today? And that got me the opportunity to hear her whole means on what was good or what was bad.
Oh
And
my
she
God,
gave
my
me a role.
daughter's worst days are like, really, babe? That's the worst thing that happened to you.
Mhm.
But you know,
you to speak from the perception of you, who's lived through it all. This is her whole world,
I'm
right? You
telling
know what
you.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That you know, they have those moments, because when you're growing up, that's what you have. It's not till you get older, you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
But at the time and living through it, it seems very devastating. And I'm gonna tell you, we've all had those moments where
Yeah.
you feel like it was the end of the world, because you just,
I've actually learned that in teaching, they tell you, okay, I'll use the example of when they draw something and then you go to throw that sheet of paper away and they're like, no, you know, to you it's just scribbles. What? I'm gonna throw it away. But for them, no, it's something. And if they cry about it, you have to let them, because that thing means something to them.
Right.
You know, it's their perception.
Yeah.
Listen to this for a second, and then I want to hear you all's
And that if they
response to
didn't
it.
follow it, you somehow failed. Or that their behavior is a poor reflection upon you. And instead, perceive them as individual sovereign beings who have inherent value and preferences.
I don't know if you caught the beginning of that, but I'm bringing that up because I've seen parents who the child acts in an unfavorable way and they attack that child, and I can see that it's not what the child did, is just like I mentioned earlier, the spotlight that they're in. Either they're in let's say grocery store with a whole bunch of strangers, or it's a family outing and all the elders are looking, or their friends are there, and it's pure, the child is getting punished because they
Are embarrassed?
are embarrassed, and they take it out on the child, and like she just mentioned, it's a poor reflection of them. And you know,
and the parent and literally, yeah, we've all been through it. You know, I can say that I took my son shopping. You know, certain things that he would do, and I'm sitting up there and I could feel me like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But you have to talk with them. You have to talk with them, and you have to give them options, you know, giving them options, and also letting them know who you are, where your boundaries is, and what it is that needs to be done, because there's a reward behind everything. It doesn't have to be materialistic rewards,
Right.
but it can be endorphins. It can be the soundness of giving them control. You know, if you give them control, like she said, as far as I'm not going to give them the keys to the car, but they can run the kitchen, they can run the household, or what's going to be watched tonight on movie. How is this going to be carried out? It's just a manner of what she was saying, and I like the way she put it as far as motivation is concerned. You know, positive manipulation.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, like, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of adults can relate. When I was little, it's 6 of us. I'm the oldest of 6. So my mother had a very strong hold on discipline. We did not go into public places and act up. That just is not an option. It's not an option. But that story of, you go in the store, don't ask for nothing, you can't have nothing, don't pick up nothing, don't touch nothing. That is a conversation that was had prior to entering the store. So you already knew. And in her, and she would tell you, okay, well, we'll get this, we're gonna get this, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. But when we come in here, don't ask for anything, because this is not part of the plan. We had a whole other plan. And she did make sure that she rewarded us, like you said, like, okay, we behaved, we was gonna have whatever. We looked forward to what we was gonna have, because we had already had it laid out before we got in the store. Okay, this is what you're not gonna do, this is what you should do, and this is what we will do once we handle, you know, what we have to handle.
But they're gonna try you. I got tried.
Well, that's just part of the whole. Yeah, you're gonna get tried. No, that's what they learn. They have to learn the balance, you know.
Yeah.
You know how I got over that whole have a fit and throw yourself down in the grocery store? I walk away. I take my things and I walk away. That was never hard for me. I think I started off because of that embarrassment. Like, is this shit? I'm not with this baby. But then it works. You know, I think it's more of I'm not responding to that. Because if I do, you'll do it again and think that that's the way to get my attention.
That's how I did it with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She started very early.
It worked with my daughter, but it didn't work with my son. And I had to nip it. I had to get all the cheers and support as possible, because when I say he tried me, and he wasn't a kid that just he would do certain things like, oh, okay, so you're gonna walk away? I'm gonna go the opposite way, and I'll see you later. I'll figure it out.
What?
You know, and he's waving like I'm all the way up here.
Okay, see you later.
Okay. You know, I'm riding on the back of the horse with this police officer. Hi, that's my mom, but see you later.
Now, that is true too. You know, because there are little people, so they have different personalities, and you do one strategy does not work for each and every child.
That's true. I'm happy
you have multiple children. You have to know the children well enough as individuals what's going to work
for them. That's true.
Because what motivates one child is not going to motivate the next child.
And I can only think about
you're supposed to know the difference.
My job at the Head Start with the children that are a little more tougher. Like she shares the story in the end, and in the end it's only 2 options. And in the preschool, I could think of children just telling you, I don't care. Like the two options that you're giving them. And so what?
Oh,
How do you? Where do you
God,
go from? Where do you go from there with the children who don't care? And that's the answer right there, Miss Veronica. You got to
I
know
got
them
something for you.
well enough.
Right.
You're
You
gonna
got to
care.
know them well
when you
enough to
what
know
bothers them,
what's going to
when you
make
know
them
what
move.
bothers them, and you are able to say, okay, well, I know that doesn't mean anything.
And
Right.
that makes
It's gonna
them.
be a problem.
That's
if
when
you
they
don't
start
get-
lying. That's when they start lying. They say they don't care. Well, I'm going to show you that you care. I know you care, but it's not a conversation. It's an action.
No, but
that
see,
has to be
that's
carried out.
and that's the thin line, though, Miss Deidre, is you cannot get in an argument per se with these little people.
No, I'm not talking about
With Miss-
argument. No, there's no
What we're
word.
saying is you have to make them
You
feel
have to
like
persuade them to your reason.
right, make them think
understanding.
they had
Right.
a say.
Persuasion.
Some of them is easier to do that with. Some
Right.
of them-
Some of them are not.
Yeah.
And then so you
Yeah.
really do need to know the child to know what to wager. Because my little sticker might not mean
so
nothing
right,
to
like, so if you really like to draw and you're really into art, but
Mhm.
if you don't have art because you misbehave, that's going to be a problem for you.
I've been
So,
I've been in the
it's those
classroom
kind of things.
where I
Mhm.
tell the children, well, you know what? If you don't sit down, you're not getting no popsicle. I got popsicle at home. What am I supposed to say to
popsicles are
that?
not easy. That's not
Exactly.
what it
That
is.
ain't that. So exactly. So I
But
need
that
to
same
know.
child might really
child
enjoy maybe circle time. And you might say, okay, well, if you keep acting up, you might not be able to participate in circle time. That might be
make
something
a difference. Yeah.
that motivate them to behave a little better.
Absolutely.
And it takes knowing each individual child and what their likes and dislikes are, or what motivates them to behave, what the motivations are. Because and I say that about adults, and I tell people all the time, like, you have to know who you're dealing with in a work environment, in a family environment. If I want you to do something for me, or I want something from you, I need to come to you with something in exchange. If I'm going to ask you for something and give you something in exchange, it needs to be something that person who I'm asking is going to value. If it's something that they don't have an interest in, what's the reward for them?
Right.
You know,
Right.
everyone
And
is
that's when
not
you put in-
motivated. Yeah, everyone's not motivated by money. You know, some people, as odd as that may sound, a lot of people are not motivated by money. You can get a lot of people to do things because it's just the right thing to do, not necessarily because you want to pay them to do it.
And while you're saying that, one of the motivations for children is honestly just to please their parent, please the adult.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then
there's
also you were
consequences
saying
behind everything. Yeah.
getting to know the
yeah.
children, it should be easier for a parent to get to know 2 or 3 of their children than a teacher to get to know 20 different children every year, you know?
Right. Now, that's the conversation when it's 20, 21, and they all got different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be the multi-dimensional, the multi-person.
Or you have better parent-teacher
and
relationship, and
that's
the
right.
parents will tell the teacher, okay, this is the type of person my child is. So the teacher will already have, as you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what
you also have teachers that think that they know a little bit more about
Sometimes
your
it
child than
happens.
they do.
Sometimes it
I
happens.
agree with
That's
that.
very real. And that's
I
very
agree with
real
that,
because
but I also think too that teachers have been put in a position where they have not had the support of parents. Therefore, they have to take on. So if I don't have you, the other adult that's supposed to be helping with this whole village of raising this child, and I'm only going on what I do with the majority of it, and that's the thing. The teacher has the child for the majority
of the day, yeah.
yes, they do.
So you got to do what works for you because you have that child more than the parent does. Let's just be honest. That's what it is.
And they have to come together and talk, because I'm gonna tell you from experience, being a curricular librarian, and you have to talk to the child's mother, and you have to find them in that place where, well, you know, this is this and this and this is going on with that child. In my experience, I've had to where, you know, they're tired. I got to call you on the phone and get permission and let you know what's going on with your child. Well, I'm tired and I need to get my rest and I'm not answering the phone. You know what I had to do? I had to not call the parent from my office phone. I had to use another phone so they wouldn't see the school ID. So when I got them on the phone, it's like, hey, girl, how you doing? Because I really respect you. I understand that you work hard. I understand that his dad is in jail. But I'm calling to let you know, because at the end of the day, when you come here and you want to know what's going on, I want you to be prepared. I want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to work against you. I do know what happened with the other teacher that had set you up and they suspended your child. But I'm trying to really avoid that. You know, so what do we do?
I have a problem with that, because I feel like I should not have to chase you down as a parent of your own child, because it's your responsibility. And I'm sorry, I understand. We all tired. We all work. I participated in many a PTA meeting and went to a whole lot of meetings that I did not want to go to, because it was the thing that I had to do. And that's what the problem is. Parents need to be held accountable for their lack of participation. That's just what it is. I don't care what nobody says. They need to be called out for it, and they need to be held accountable.
I would miss out on things, but the teacher definitely hears me. You know, like, hey, I missed this because I'm at work, but
but
I know everything that's going on. Yeah, I make time when I can.
Not all the time. You can't just not come to meetings and not participate and not have input and
my baby's always bringing something.
No, that's not. It
helps.
Cool.
I don't know if it's because I know what it feels like as a teacher.
The parent coming down the hallway and she got the belt in her hand and the poor child is looking at me like, oh boy, you gonna save me now?
I think we really have to work on that, because the lack of participation, especially in the field that I'm in and what I do, especially with these programs that are federally aided, and these parents not participating because they don't have time, or they don't feel like it, or they're tired, is just, it's unacceptable.
Listen, and that's the problem, is that we're talking about disciplining children, but we are undisciplined adults trying to teach these children. I'm gonna wrap it up with this last story that she shares. I want to get y'all feedback, and then if you have any advice for parents, and I think we could close on that. Let me share.
Her options. She made the decision. She took responsibility for it. So the next time you feel like because I said so, or some variation on the theme is coming out of your mouth,
I need to go back a little.
Stop. Take a deep breath. Notice this happens when you do your homework. The teacher checks it at recess. And I just knew what was coming. It was like, I'm in charge. Just do the homework. And I used this cue as, a signal to myself to stop and take a deep breath. I sat on the step. I looked her in the eye. I said, honey, what happens when you do your homework? The teacher checks it at recess. What do you think will happen if you don't do your homework? I'll have to stay in at recess and do it. Do you want to do it now or at recess? Now. It was done like that. And all I had to do was point out her options. She made the decision. She took responsibility for it.
That's right.
So the next time you feel like because I said so, or some variation on the theme is coming out of your mouth, stop. Take a deep breath. Notice the space between you and the other. Look them in the eye. Notice that the decision doesn't rest solely on your shoulders. There's another person there, and they have a stake in the conversation too.
So I tried that. Africa caught herself sitting on the windowsill, and I got mad, more fearful, like, whoa, what are you doing? Then I stopped, and I was like, what happens when you sit on the window? What might happen when you sit on the windowsill? I might fall. Oh, I said, look down. Does that look like it's going to be a comfortable fall? No. Do you want to fall? No. So where you got to sit now? She got up, sat her butt on the bed. So it can work sometimes. But I guess what I'm saying is I acknowledge the power of giving them the choice and stopping and having the conversation. It's just hard sometimes. But I got to make a conscious decision to make that the way I resolve most of our conversations. Yeah.
And then when you go up through the years, this is not with my children, but you got this is a scenario. Truth for the scenario, 17-year-old that got the attitude to where I just don't care anymore. I didn't like what was done, and I'm literally just gonna interrupt everything. I don't care if I get thrown out of RPD. You know what I mean? I don't care if I end up having to not be able to go to the after school program and show out all that, stuff that I like to do. And you have to think about it and say, okay, so is this really what you want to do? If you don't care, what is the consequences? So if you're going to stop doing that, what are you going to do? Oh, you're going to run away? Okay, so what happens when you run away? And then you go down the line, is that really what you want?
I don't want to have to keep doing this till y'all 17 years old. That's... It don't stop. There's no age where you just...
No. I'll tell you from experience. I had 4 girls that was teenagers at the same time. Okay, so let me tell you,
it was four of us in my mom's household, and I was the baby. And I literally, my eyes would be buck looking at my mother like, do you realize? You don't realize what's going on when when you don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a whole lot of stuff, and they literally
and it's hard though.
Oh, don't
it's
even
hard
tell me.
Yeah.
I think parenting for me, I'm growing up a lot with, I'm 30-something years old, but I'm growing up in a way, little things that I didn't know was a bother, I'm correcting myself. I'm getting disciplined. I'm learning patience. I'm dealing with the anger and frustration
that's a pure, open-hearted mom, because there's some people that just get stuck and they don't want to grow.
I want to break the cycles that are there, but then keep the positive ones that are there too, And I think in my growing up, I'm even seeing my mom change in a way I'm not saying how she is.
Well, she can afford to now, because she don't have little kids. You have little kids.
Right. Now she has the
time.
So
she's a different role.
Yeah,
she has a totally different role. I'm going to tell you.
The rules done changed.
My mother said that to me, because I was like, my mom, I think one of the kids asked for something, and she was like, sure, here, have it. And I was like, oh, you were never that easy with us. And she told me very specifically, I was by myself, and I had to raise all 6 of y'all. I had to be a certain way to keep you in line, period. I had to be strict and keep you in line, because I didn't want to lose control. Like she was very effective. Okay, let's just say that she was very effective.
Right. And then
I didn't see a soft mom.
Did you ever see the roles of the mother and daddy, to where the dad, you don't want to call him in, so you better pay attention to do what mom says.
Because dad was the disciplinarian.
Whoa! And I would be like looking at my brothers and sisters, and I would be like, "You're crazy." Because at the end of the day, when dad comes through the door,
we didn't want
I
mom
can't relate
to
to
come
that, because
home.
my mother was the disciplinarian.
Oh, I wish I could.
Let me ask you, Ms. V.
It was no joke.
Let me ask you, because that was my mom too. Now, would you say that you're the disciplinarian now?
For my husband and myself, we tag team. We have our areas.
Poor children.
It's just true. We have our areas of specialties. He'll catch them on one end, I catch them on the other. It just depends on what the situation is.
Nice.
And it's like
we just find that we're more effective for different situations.
So you played the umpire and he was the batter, or either he played the umpire and
it just depends on who's more effective,
right,
with the decision. And sometimes I don't know, my husband play it up like, if your mama find out, because he just said something. He says I'm yeah, but he will use that threat real.
Your mother find out.
If your mother find out, it's gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and I say the same thing. Boy, if your daddy find out what you do, right? So we just depends on what it is.
Well, yeah, that was good for my mother. She was the quiet one. She already told you, and she told you nicely.
Storm?
And the quiet storm was daddy, because once daddy, they had that conversation.
It was
over. No, he did not do it. Okay, say no more. And I kid you not, my father told my brother to rake the leaves in the yard. He didn't do it for 2 days. By the time my daddy got home, my father raked up every leaf in that big yard, and every little carrier of the leaves, he came through that back door with the thing and went directly in my brother's room and dumped those leaves, and every last one of them went in his bedroom. Every last one of them. Now I bet you're going to get them leaves up.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Really
And I
though?
sat there and watched him like this. And
Really?
I'm like, they're crazy. They're crazy. And me as a child, I would just be, I'm all ears. I'm just on y'all side to my parents. I have no problem. What do I need to do?
All right, Miss.
I think that's a valuable lesson, though, actually, when you think about it. You either pick them up in the beginning or you pick them up in the end, but you gon' pick them up.
You're going to pick them up. You're going to pick them up.
Miss V, you got
That's valuable.
any advice for parenting?
You know,
Or
it's
not
really
even
about
parenting per se, but
graduate your children and just have trust in them, because it's about love. When you discipline them, use the love behind it. When she said breathe, you breathe, and you always never forget, excuse me, I almost went somewhere. You never forget that they love you. You know what I mean? They have your best interests at hand. And somewhere along the line, you know, everybody's going to be happy. You know, you just have to get to a point of that happiness.
Ms.
And
V,
it's a little journey, but you'll get there. That's my
words
advice.
on disciplining and parenting?
I just say that understand that it's a learning process continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Even, I mean, as long as you have children, you will learn, if you're open to it, how to be a better parent. That does not stop when they get older and go. You always are learning, and to keep that in mind, as long as you lead with love and you try to do the right thing from love, you know, just be open to learn and do better.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, ladies. I'm gonna post the
Yeah.
link for the what we're discussing in the little chat below, or the comments below. I'm not sure where I'm gonna post this yet, but thanks for sharing, and I'll see y'all again next time.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me, everybody. Miss Veronica and Empress Ready.
All right, love.
All right.
All right, I stopped the recording there.